Okay, so welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness Week at UNCP. Thank you all for joining us for the first in a series of 4 Lunch and Learn sessions where we will be focusing on cybersecurity topics. My name is Kevin Pate, and I will be facilitating our session today. You're going to learn a little more about me a little later in the session. So we want this to be fun, engaging, and relaxful time for folks. So if you're having lunch, enjoy your sandwich, your cup of coffee, or whatever it is you're having for lunch while you take all of this information in. Just so you know, this is our, let me move this. So this is our weekly Lunch and Learn topic matrix. So this is what we have coming up. And you can use the same WebEx link that you used today to join these other sessions. We will also be sending out more communications to remind people about these sessions as well. So be sure to join us at each one of these sessions. So by the end of the month, you've got a well-rounded education of cybersecurity topics. Also, I have already heard from several people that are not going to be able to make it to our session today, but they were very interested. And so just so everyone here knows, we will be recording each session and making those available later for viewing. There will be a cybersecurity awareness webpage that will be communicated later this week, and it will contain the links to those sessions, and it will have other cybersecurity information on them as well. So today, part of this session, we are highlighting cybersecurity and cybersecurity related professions. And we want to expose our university stakeholders to the range of opportunities that are available. We want to let folks know what's out there and then provide some knowledge about some opportunities folks have to get into the field of cybersecurity. So before we get started with our panelists, just kind of a quick review of what National Cybersecurity Awareness Month is. It was launched in 2004, and it was a joint effort between industry and government, and is co-led by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency and the National Cybersecurity Alliance. And those two websites carry an abundance of information. And some of that information will be distributed through emails this week and available through links from our webpage. And the campaign raises awareness about the importance of cybersecurity. And the goal is to ensure that everybody has information and the tools that they need to be safer online. So the current theme was launched in 2020, last year. Do your part, be cyber smart. So that emphasizes that cybersecurity isn't only a shared responsibility, it's an individual responsibility. And that's what this campaign is all about, is trying to help folks to be better individually when it comes to their own cybersecurity. So everyone does their part, implementing stronger security practices, raising awareness, and educating our vulnerable audiences. Then our world, which is so interconnected now, will be ultimately safer and secure for all of us. So that's our brief review of what Cybersecurity Month is. And what we're going to get in today is our panelists. So I would like to welcome our panelists and thank them for agreeing to spend some time with us today out of your busy schedule. Our panelists represent several different sectors of society through both their current and past experiences. We have folks from the private sector. We have a person who is private sector now, but was previously working for state government. And then we have an individual from our nonprofit sector that works closely with the higher education North Carolina government. And then, of course, you have us folks here at UNCP, which represent the higher education sector. So each panelist will have a few moments to speak about their career and what they do, how it relates to cybersecurity, and how they got to where they are, and anything else they want to share. Some panelists also have some resources to share with our campus stakeholders about tangible opportunities that are available to you as next steps for getting connected to the cybersecurity profession. So hang in there. You want to hear about that if you're interested in those opportunities. So without further ado, we'll start off with me. So we're going to get the UNCP folks taken care of and out of the way, and then we'll hear from our panelists. So I am, my name is Kevin Pate again. I'm the Director of Infrastructure and Security and Chief Information Officer here at UNCP. As the director, I'm responsible for all of the campus network, communications, and security infrastructure. That's from cabling to high-end network equipment that all works together to provide the type of connectivity that allows us to get together like we're doing right now. I'm also responsible for all network security. And then as CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, I am responsible for overseeing the university's security program that focuses on policies, our security framework, our security tools, our practices, our procedures. How do we assess those with using outside and inside assessments, focusing on risk to the university and doing risk assessments. And then also, how do we respond to threats, our threat response and incident response, and also cyber insurance. So that's pretty much my area. Now, how I got here, my pathway into cybersecurity was through 27 years of progressive experience. My degree is in secondary mathematics education. I'm supposed to be a high school math teacher. And I did that for about 6 months, and then I moved on. And so I decided to shift to another passion that I had, and I segued into education, higher education by teaching, but it was teaching computer workshops to faculty and staff. And so then I just worked my way through, and here I am. So that's my backstory. Next, we'll go to a couple of folks who actually work hands-on with our cybersecurity tools and our network tools. And we'll go next to Mr. Barry Snyder. Barry?
Hey, so yeah, I work for Kevin directly, and we handle like he said, the network security architecture and the everything from the intrusion detection system, the firewalls, the port levels, and the wireless. You know, I got started actually with the Cisco Academy originally, so I'm very grateful to Cisco. It's been a huge way to kind of pave the ground level to get you going. It's kind of like drinking from a fire hose, but it's very beneficial. But yeah, so we handle everything security related pretty much, and we use Cisco's security platform to do it without getting into the nitty gritty weeds. I'll pass it off to Steve.
Okay, Steve.
So yeah, I'm Stephen Freeman. As Barry said, we handle the network security side. So you know, everything from the protection of our infrastructure, our students, their resources, and I've been doing it for about 15 years. I started. I had the idea that I wanted to be in something that people would use forever, and you had to have infrastructure to have services. So I kind of went in that direction. Took the Cisco Academy, and you know, you learn a lot through that academy, and it sets you up for the real world experience. And I kind of just started as helping out with the IT staff at RCC, trying to learn as much as I could. But I also handle the cybersecurity internship here at UNCP, where we try to give our students a real world experience. So when they apply for their first job, they can actually say they've actually had some experience doing the tools that employers are looking for. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Steve. And that is one of the tangible opportunities for students here at UNCP. We've actually had some folks who have graduated and who went through that program and landed pretty good jobs pretty quick. And I can't help but think that information on their resume was really powerful in helping them open those doors. So, okay, so next up is going to be Ms. Elizabeth Hale, and I think that she goes by Liz.
Hello, everyone. Yes, Liz Hale is my name. My mom calls me Elizabeth. I'm going to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my job and how I got here. If you have questions, I know we're going to have a question and answer section, but you can also type into the chat box as well. If there's something on your mind, put it in the chat box and then we'll see it during the question and answer time and take care of that. So I work for the Independent Insurance Agents of North Carolina, and we provide the insurance for the state of North Carolina, just state government. That's all we do. That means that I personally provide cyber insurance for UNC Pembroke and all the UNC system universities. There are 18 schools in the system, and if they need cyber insurance or have questions about cyber insurance, then they can come to us and we help them to purchase it. I have a lot of letters after my name. All those came after I graduated from college with a degree in, ready for this, political science. So I started working for the state in, well, I won't tell you when, but a long time ago in Florida. I was working for a state senator, and that was actually a segue to work for an independent insurance agent in Florida. And I got trained in the insurance field on the job. And the great thing about the insurance industry is once you get your job, they'll pay for your education after that. So all those letters just represent what my employer helped me to achieve. So I always recommend when you're interviewing for jobs that you ask that question. If you want to grow and you want to continue to learn, will your employer pay for your education? That's a great question to ask. As an insurance agent, I have to be licensed in the state that I am working in. So I am licensed in the state of North Carolina. There is a cost to getting a license, and again, my employer paid for that as well. So you don't necessarily have to major in insurance in order to enter the insurance industry. I've been working in commercial insurance for about 15 years. That simply means as an agent, I don't sell homeowners or personal insurance. I don't sell health insurance. I don't sell life insurance. This is just insurance for businesses, and it's property and liability. And I specialize in cyber insurance. Next slide. So I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to what is cyber insurance. This may not be something you've thought of in terms of a career, but this is just another aspect of cybersecurity. There is a huge cost to a break-in into your security system. And I have seen claims as low as $500,000 and as high as over $3 million for one incident. So the purpose of insurance is to transfer the cost of that breach or that hack into your system, transfer the cost to the insurance company. So if you're UNC Pembroke, for example, and you discover that there has been a breach or a hack into your system, what are the costs? You're going to have to hire an attorney. You're going to have to hire a forensics team to help your forensics team to determine what the extent of this breach is. How many students had their personally identifiable information like social security numbers exposed to the hacker. You're going to have to pay a fine because there are regulatory fines imposed by both the federal government, the state government, and international organizations. So all of that cost, maybe your data's been lost, so you have the cost to restore it and get it back. That might be the largest cost of all. And if any of your software needs to be replaced, that can be covered as well. So this is not traditional insurance. It pays for the cost to manage the crisis. In addition to that, once you have an insurance policy to protect you from this cyber insurance type of loss, the insurance company is going to help you with risk management. They're going to help you protect yourself and help you prevent a break-in in the future. So it becomes a partnership. If you are UNC Pembroke, you can partner with the insurance company and they will provide resources to help you to reduce risk and protect students. So all of that is included in the cyber insurance policy. And my job as an agent is just to make the connections, to introduce the client to the insurance company, provide a number of different options for buying coverage, and then explaining it and helping if there is a loss. Next slide. There are a lot of different things you could do if you go the direction of cyber insurance. I'm just one example, an insurance agent. An underwriter is the person who works at the cyber insurance company. A risk manager might work at UNC Pembroke to help UNC Pembroke to manage their risk, to make sure that they have protections in place so that there are fewer break-ins, and that if there is a break-in to your system, a hack, that there is an insurance policy to pay for it. You could be a breach response team leader. You would lead the crisis response. You would gather up the attorney, the forensics people, you're calling the FBI, you're gathering up and creating a team to investigate when there has been a breach. And sometimes that even means traveling to a foreign country to pay a ransom or transferring Bitcoin in order to pay a ransom if a ransom is demanded in a ransomware attack. So all of these people on the list here could be involved on the insurance side of a cyber career. Next slide. And finally, I just want to introduce you to some resources. IIANC has pre-licensing classes for people who want to become insurance agents. Insure Academy is a school that my organization has created, and I teach a couple of classes in this school where we provide on-the-job training and also job interviews. This is a free course. It lasts about 6 weeks. You can take this class once you've graduated or even before you graduate from college. And we will provide mentors and job placement in this program. So there's a link to that if you want more information, my email address, just in case you have questions that I don't get to answer today. I'm available to help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz. And Liz has been very, very helpful in helping UNCP procure and keep cyber insurance, and is just a wealth of knowledge. Thank you for sharing that. And now we'll move on to our other guest, private sector guest from Cisco. And whatever order you would like to, if we want to go from left to right, that is fine with me. So let's say Mary. Mary, if you want to go first.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mary Sharif. I'm a technical security architect here at Cisco. Been in this engineering job for the last 3.5 years. What is interesting fact about my background is that I was not always in technology. I have a diverse education and diverse experience that eventually led me to engineering at Cisco. But I have done quite a few things. I have worked in the state as Director of Compliance for the state of New York. I have done consulting in the area of medical device manufacturing, specifically around security. I have worked as program management for financial institutions. I have been a system analyst programmer. I have done commercial lending and insurance, as well as when I was at my time at KeyBank. So I have worn many different kind of hats, and even my education started in information system, changed to business, got an MBA, did a graduate certificate in information security. And like Liz, I have a lot of letters after my name, most of them paid, including my MBA, paid by my employer. And Cisco is a phenomenal supporter of education. So if you ever find yourself here at Cisco, we do pay tuition and reimbursement, and we do support our employees for training and getting certifications. So tons of things in that end, and hopefully we'll get more as we go through the panel. For now, I'm going to turn it over to Josh.
Thanks, Mary. My name is Josh Hammonds. I'm a technical leader in the CX Centers organization here at Cisco. I am a 2006 graduate of UNC Pembroke. So I spent all of my time at UNC Pembroke and in the first floor of the science building. So my degree was in computer science. And after leaving Cisco, or after leaving UNC Pembroke in 2006, I started my career at Cisco in 2007. So I was literally working a job at McNeil's Jewelers in Biggs Park Mall when I got the call that I was hired at Cisco, and I immediately quit. So I moved to the Raleigh-Durham area where I'm at now, and I've been at Cisco, like I said, since 2007. And some of that time, I was in the lowest rung of the ladder. I mean, I was in the basement. I started as a subcontractor in our internal support help desk. So when Cisco employees need help changing passwords and accessing emails, they got me for a short amount of time. And from there, I moved to the voice services, where I started, assigning phone numbers and setting up IP phones for Cisco employees. And that's really where I fell in love with Cisco Voice. And in 2010, I moved to the TAC organization, or CX Centers organization as it's known now. And I've been in CX Centers ever since. And I've spent time as an engineer working with customers from mom and pops all the way up to Fortune 500 companies, fixing the unfixable problems that they have. And I was promoted to technical leader in 2016. And now, instead of supporting the customers that use our products, I now support the engineers globally for a group of collaboration products, including WebEx. So like Mary and Stephen and Barry have already talked about, and Liz, I've got lots of letters after my name. This 2007 photo of me, I didn't have CCNA. I mean, I knew what networking was, but I wasn't certified. All of my certifications from CCNA, CCNP collaboration, CCIE collaboration, all were paid for by Cisco. And it's one of those things to where it's helped me get to where I'm at, to be able to articulate technical problems in a non-technical way to our customers, because we have the best engineers in the world here at Cisco, and we're the global experts at what we do. And I don't expect the customers that I work with to know as much about the products as I do. They pay us to have that knowledge and to open cases with us. So it's those certifications that really, regardless of what certification is, whether it's just route switch or security or collaboration or wireless or data center. The certifications really build you the foundation of getting the knowledge and then transferring that knowledge to the people that need it. So I'm happy that UNCP keeps inviting me back. I love doing these conversations, and that's a bit about myself.
Thank you, Josh.
You got a 2-for-1 with us here on the sales and engineering side. I'm Liz McCormick.
I'm Bob Levy. I'm the SE manager.
So I'm Liz McCormick. I'm the regional sales manager for Cisco. I've been with Cisco for 14 years. Out of college, when I was in college, I thought I was going to be a psychologist. I went to graduate school for psychology. I will tell you, in leading people, I use psychology every day. So thank goodness. And having 2 kids, the psychology background and counseling background has definitely helped. But very, very happy to be with Cisco. Cisco has changed my life. And Kevin, you talked about, how does cybersecurity, why does cybersecurity matter at Cisco or in the sales role? Because we need to make sure, I cover the public sector. So we cover schools, we cover state, we cover local government. So we need to make sure that our citizens are safe. We need to make sure that our students are safe. So, and that's one of my favorite things that Cisco does. You might not think of Cisco as a security company, but we are definitely a security company. So speaking of that, I will pass it over to my partner in crime.
So real quick, I started Cisco in 95. So I've been here 26 years, started as an engineer, went into management many years back. But I'm like Josh, where I started at my local school. I went to Birmingham Southern in Birmingham, Alabama, and was part of the IT staff, was part of learning the ropes of networking. This was before a lot of things. But it was, that's how I came up through the world. And also I have letters behind my name as well. And to say that it's important is true statement. It is important, but it's not everything, right? You got to have the technical knowledge, which is what those letters prove. But you also have to have, the other side of it as well. The personality, the go get 'em, the attitude, that all plays a role in the professional world. But the letters are important too. So I've been with Cisco 26 years. I've enjoyed every second of it. It's a great company. And like Liz says, we are very focused on security.
Yep. And since I share the first name with Liz Hale, I will say I also share the last name with Jim McCormick. So go ahead, Jim. It's all you.
Great. Thank you, Liz, Bob, and for everybody else for joining us here this afternoon. As Liz just mentioned, I'm Jim McCormick. I am the account manager that works in the higher education space here in North Carolina and cover a majority of the UNC system, if you will, right? Obviously, UNC Pembroke included. My responsibilities is really about managing the relationship between Cisco and those that use our products, such as UNC Pembroke, right? And so that we're here through thick and thin and good and bad times, right? And we rely specifically, often on those resources behind us that we have the ability to pull in at the right time to make sure that we're driving the right value for the universities in which we support. So it's been great having the opportunity to work with the university system and getting to know this team out here specifically in the security space. In my role, I represent all of the products that we have in our portfolio, but security being a big part of that, right? So that goes into the network, to the cyber, to the application, all the security layers that we're able to provide. So there's a big depth of defense that we can come with as a full team from what we deliver back, hopefully from a value add and outcome perspective from the Cisco capabilities of what we're able to provide. My background is a little bit different, but similar to others, right? So originally, I was a product of the UNC system. I went to UNC Wilmington, and I had a financial degree that was back in 2008, December, actually, when I graduated. So I was at a point where that degree was basically worthless with no opportunities in finance as the recession hit. So technology naturally was a fit. And for us, we had a lot of folks at UNCW who came back as alum and spoke to the university about, hey, here's how I took my career in business and ended up at Cisco. And we have a massive presence, obviously, as Josh spoke to you in RTP. So thinking through those comments and those sessions like this that I sat through, I realized finance might not have any staying power at this point in time, but technology seemed to be only on the up and up as this world further evolved, right? And so threw out some lifelines to try to figure out, hey, what opportunities existed out there. It was obviously a weird time, but I did find a way to get my foot in the door as a contracted marketer for the first 13 months. And I didn't think I'd go from finance to marketing. It wasn't my favorite business subject, quite honestly, right? But I did that. And that role actually entailed me living in a van down by the river for about 13 months. And I drove an airport shuttle bus full of Cisco technology in the West Coast, from the Pacific to the Rockies, right? It was the warmer states in the winter, and then the northern states in the summer, right? Just to kind of get that geographical area covered. And we would bring technology to the most remote parts of our country where folks wouldn't meet us in an office just because it wasn't really possible. So that was a great way to start from the early in career contracted perspective at Cisco. During those 13 months, I also learned that Cisco offers up other early in career programs. We do it for sales. We do it for the engineering track. We also have it for finance and marketing, right? But the two that I really see most opportunity in North Carolina is on the sales and the engineering side, right? Where you're able to pick a track, go through basically an MBA program for 2 years with Cisco paying you as you come in the door to learn, or somewhat brainwashed, right? To work through the Cisco machine and to come out the other side after 2 years, being able to go out there to hold the right level of conversations to provide value back to those that need our solutions the most, right? So that was a great fit for me to go from a finance major to a marketing contractor role into the sales account management position that I have here today. And so that then there led me down to the state of Florida, where I did this role today, but in the private sector for about 8.5 years with Cisco. And then more recently, just in December of 2020, transitioned back home to North Carolina with my family to take on this role and responsibility here, covering basically the UNC system for the North Carolina team, working for Liz and with Bob's team on the technical side. So my big takeaway here is for those that are really interested in possibly, spearheading a career in technology or in security, please reach out to me. Kevin has my information. Stephen and Barry do as well, right? I'd love to kind of get you some of the information to help empower you. Right now, actually, is the window of time in which we are soliciting those who would be interested. The way our programs work is we basically take in applications at the fall timeframe, if you will, and these are jobs that you will get placed for next summer when we start our new fiscal year in August, right? So the nice thing is we work through the process while you're still in university. You obviously, if you have the chance to earn your spot to join us, you know well in advance that upon graduation, you have this career path lined up for you, and they're able to really get you set into motion to help fast track your career in technology through some of the early in career programs. So for those that are interested, please let me know. Those are real, live, and active at this point in time, in addition to internships that we could explore, which are more for those that still have a couple of years left in university before they graduate. So that's a little bit about me, my role, responsibility, and how I got to where I am today, if that makes sense.
Awesome, Jim. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our panelists for giving us your background, your experience. And now I'm just going to pause for a second, and let's just go and see. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but if there are any questions from the group, if you would like to ask that, you can unmute yourselves, or you can type a question into the chat. I did put one link to the Cisco Sales Associate program in the chat. There are other pieces of information that we will post about that and about the Insure Academy on our website, and we'll be sending out a link to that. That's going to have a lot of information about cybersecurity awareness, but also information that we dig up through these lunch and learn sessions. We want to make sure that you can get back to that information, watch this session again, share with others who may be interested. So any questions from our participants? Okay, so I will assume that that there are no questions right now, but people are really interested in the information. That's the way I typically work when I'm on a web conference. So what I would like to do is just thank all of our panelists and thank everyone who has joined us We've learned about a wide and diverse employment offering that's represented just through our panelists here today. And, you know, just hearing the backgrounds of how people got to where they are now, I think is very beneficial. Number one, it just helps us to understand that you can get there from here. A UNCP grad at Cisco, Josh, is an example of that. You get your degree, and then you take those steps and those opportunities that are out there, and you can get there. Hey, I was supposed to be a high school math teacher. That didn't play out for me, but I kept going, and I used another aspect of my education to move forward. Several other folks have mentioned how when you are employed, take advantage of the training programs, get those certifications and get those degrees to move forward. But you can get there from here, wherever here is at this time.
And Kevin, I might add something there because I just want to clarify, right? So for the early in career stuff that we do offer, we're actually very fortunate because RTP North Carolina is that center for the entire United States, basically. And so for those that are really serious, it's nice that we have this in our own backyard. And the program takes in actually people from all over the country. So when you join that, you get to meet a diverse group of individuals, and they have programs based also globally. So that program, while US based, is in RTP. You're working with your peers globally in different countries as you all develop from the early in career perspective, and you network with those that are all coming in. So just wanted to highlight that because it is very unique that this program is not far from where we all physically sit today, right? It's basically in our own backyard. We're not having to go across the country like others who need to come to us. So these opportunities are real, and it's really convenient for us, I think, to take advantage of what all is offered in proximity to where we are today.
I couldn't help but notice that our panelists, and I'm looking around at the backgrounds, it looks like most folks are working remotely, working from home maybe. Yeah, awesome. So there you go. And I think that a lot of that was probably already happening pre-COVID for some of these institutions. So just another factor to point out there. So again, we are going to post the information about the internship and education offerings on the webpage. We'll try to send it out to a mailing list of those folks. If we can get your addresses, I think we can pull that information from the attendee list. So we're going to make sure that you have the information available to you, because that's what this is all about, is just raising awareness of cybersecurity and today about some of the occupations that are available in that. And it's just a growing and burgeoning industry, cybersecurity, jobs associated with that in any area. So thank you for all who have joined. Thank you so much, panelists, for donating, dedicating your time. It is such a refreshing experience to have folks who are interested in sharing information with our university stakeholders and our students, just to show them the possibilities that are out there. And now I'm going to give a shameless plug for our table, our booth that we will be setting up tomorrow in the Chavis UC Center from 11 to 12. So as part of our cybersecurity awareness program, we will be there. Our team will be there for an hour or so, and we'll be sharing information about security, and we'll be displaying our security tools. And we may even be able to do some lookups for folks who come by. So don't forget to join us then. And also next week, same time, same link, join us here. So thank you again. And go ahead, anybody?
Yeah, I got something. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I think a lot of the panelists touched on it. I think Josh did. The desire to to improve and get better, and the attitude and personality as well. I know when we look in our cyber program, we look for those that have an interest for one, are willing to learn, and the ability to learn. It goes a long way in succeeding. And that's what I know. That's what we look for. And I'm pretty sure that's what Cisco looks for, and Lisa's company looks for as well. That the right attitude and drive goes a long way.
Question.
Yes.
So my name is Dylan Michaels, and we touched on this a little bit because everybody's working remotely right now. When it comes to like working at Cisco and getting the training and the development that you need and acquiring the skills that you need, has COVID has COVID presented any issues for like actually learning and educating people? Because it's one thing when you're like in the office and you get to sit down and you can look at the person and I can just go, hey boss, can you show me what I'm doing wrong here? It's another thing when I have to send out an email and I don't know how long it's going to take to respond and what your schedule's like. Has that presented any challenges? And if it has, how have all of you overcame those sort of challenges?
I can address that, I think. If not, somebody will chime in. So again, I'm Bob Levy. I'm an NSC manager here at Cisco. So before COVID, we were in the office most of the time, and we're in the sales area, so a lot of us were not in the office, but the people who didn't go visit customers every day were usually in the office. And we did training classes in the office most of the time, but even before COVID, we were doing virtual training. When COVID hit, of course, everyone's remote, and everything was remote, and everything's WebEx, right? We do everything via WebEx, and there's a new term out there called WebEx fatigue because you do so much of it, you just get tired of it, and it feels so good to be in person again. And so the challenge was we were halfway adopted to being remote, but when COVID hit, we were all remote, and you just adopted it, and people are just as responsive remote as actually they're probably more responsive being remote because you're captive audience at that point, right? And the interesting thing is now it's like you're used to the pace of work because we've been doing this for almost 2 years now. And you're used to the pace now of a COVID world where you're sitting at the desk. We have a desk here, and you're just pounding things out on the keyboard, working. And you got to remind yourself to get up and walk around because otherwise you'll just work through the whole day. Unlike pre-COVID, for us, it was you had those breaks put in because, hey, I need to go to a meeting. It's at this customer site. That's a 20-minute drive. I'm going to go to lunch, right? It's hard to go to lunch now because it's like, well, that's 20 minutes in the day I can get back. And so it's kind of interesting that the ball is totally flipped on how you work. And it'll probably flip back eventually to what it was because I think people enjoy the face-to-face contact. But it's just a different way of doing it, and people have adopted. So I think the response times have actually gotten a little bit better, to tell you the truth, because people are right there in front.
And Bob's gotten smarter. So
Yeah, and
Dylan,
I also just wanted to add to that a couple of points. So first of all, in terms of training, there's at Cisco, we do have a lot of resources in the cloud. So you can literally just join the cloud and go through the sessions and get the training that you need. In terms of having a hierarchy of support built into the different positions, we have that built here at Cisco where if I need something as an engineer and I need a technical resource, I do have overlays, meaning people above my position that are more expert or have deeper knowledge base in a specific product or solutions than I do that I can pull in and get that information from. But in terms of kind of engaging with people, I will give you an example. When we used to have Cisco Live, which is a program where we invite our customers in and show them the new technologies and engage with them, once COVID hit, you would think that we would lose a lot of participation. That participation tripled. People were actually more excited to have this. You know what, I have half an hour or I have an hour that I can now dedicate as opposed to I did not. So from building the bench and building your own knowledge base, that opportunity actually became more predominant that half an hour that I used to drive, yes, it was a nice break, but at the same time, it was half hour that I kind of wasted. That now I can take and, you know, go and watch a video on something, which we also have an internal intranet site for training called Sales Connect. And there are just tons of videos and tons of resources. So it depends on how you look at it. From access, the access became more. The time that you can, you know, dedicate to training became more. It does, though, presented what Bob was talking about. At some point, you get burned down and you feel, oh my God, that was a lot. So I just wanted to give you the preview on both sides.
And I'll throw one last thing out there. Obviously, Cisco, we've been a huge collaboration provider for decades now, right? And so, you know, obviously, I think the adoption rate of people sharing video skyrocketed when we all went virtual. I mean, it was something that was probably hit or miss pre-COVID a little bit, right? You know, just didn't share it because I was always in person places or for what have you, right? It just became more the natural standard way to do just conversations and to do business, right? So I think that uptick really kind of helped us bridge that gap a little bit where we needed to all be remote for the obvious reasons that exist out there today, right? As we slowly start kind of coming back, I think one of the benefits is hopefully it's also kind of helped us do better in the remote opportunities to work together as we also build those relationships through video, and then obviously helps us speed up those as we get back in person now and into the future to come. So, you know, I'd say there are those challenges certainly to be able to kind of ask your coworker right next to you, right? But now it's your virtual coworker, right? You can see on chat. You can quickly then loop into call ad hoc, bridge a friend, bring in more people, right? Participate in conversation that helps advance forward the objective that you're trying to accomplish. So I think that's been at least a positive takeaway. I think it's encouraged more people to embrace the virtual video collaborative experience, if that makes sense.
Well, thank you for that. Great question, Dylan. Any other questions out there? We certainly do not want to close this thing down without having all minds clear and all questions. That's a really good answer. It's what I love bringing so many people to the table, because when you ask that question, you got a lot of responses from different folks. So hopefully that was very helpful. And I can say, you know, even from the UNCP side, just all of the collaboration tools that are out there now, just being able to work with folks, get an immediate answer. Most people here in our department are really on top of it as well. And we're kind of, you know, we went through the COVID thing and we were all remote working. And then, you know, we're mostly back on campus now, but the communication aspect of that is still stuck. And so, you know, it doesn't matter where a member of my team is. I just hop on the communication platform and I'll get a response, unless that person is totally, you know, indisposed, and then they'll get back. So I think your question is very relevant, because there's nothing more frustrating than learning and getting stuck at a point where you need an answer. And so, yeah, I think that's a very valid question. Anyone else?
Kevin,
Yes.
one just other point I wanted, while hopefully somebody was going to, you know, if they had a question, please ask. But the other point I was going to make is that in the industry, there are a lot of different careers with cybersecurity, right? You could be a CISO, you could be a CIO as your you know, career matures. But you know, pen testing, assessors, incident response folks. There are just a lot of different career paths. So do the due diligence of looking and seeing what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, and then finding the right mentors to help you navigate that. And that could be across different industries, different companies, internally, or the college. So just see if you can find someone that also guides you in the career path that you choose within cybersecurity. It's pretty important to do that.
Awesome. Anyone else? Anything else to share? Any pointers from the panelists? Any questions? Okay. Well, again, thanks everyone. So much good information and collaboration, and just the spirit of collaboration in this community is so welcome and so appreciated. Again, we recorded this session. We'll send out the information, and hope to see all of you, many of you, either tomorrow at the UC or next week on our next WebEx. So thank you for joining us today for our National Cybersecurity Awareness Lunch and Learn #1. And everyone have an awesome afternoon. Thank you so much.
Take
Hey, guys.
care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.